started. I know Joylyn has to leave for another meeting at 11, so I want to make sure and get her on. So are you ready, Chuck, on your end?
I'm ready.
Okay. So welcome everyone to the February New Mexico Drought Monitoring Workgroup call, and appreciate those who've already signed on. If anybody has problems with the everybody see the Chuck's presentation up online? Take that as a yes. Okay, let's do a round of who's on the call. This is Dave Dubois down in Las Cruces.
Amory McBurn, USGS.
Raymond Abates of your reclamation.
Joylyn Garcia from Farm Service Agency.
Mary Ewell, BLM.
And this is Chuck Jones here at the National Weather Service office with Molly Magnuson from the State Engineer's office.
All right, nobody else? Okay, wow, great. Okay, let's get started with National Weather Service report. Good morning. Who do we have on the call?
Hi, Dave. This is Chad McNutt from NIDIS.
Hey, Chad. Welcome.
How are you?
Pretty good. We're just
Thanks.
getting started. And Chuck Jones is going to get started with his Weather Service report first. So go ahead, Chuck.
All right, thanks, Dave. A lot to cover today, obviously, because we've missed, well, we didn't have a meeting last month, so I'm going to try to cover a couple of months' worth of material here. Plus, we have some interesting scenarios to look at. So let's go back to December. I guess, you know, what's happened in the last 2 months, I can pretty much sum that up by just saying not much at all. December precipitation was 0.42 inches of an inch, which is, you know, over a quarter of an inch below normal. And rank-wise, it was the 42nd driest. Not terrible, but not good either. We look at last year for the calendar year, January through December. Ended up with our figures 98% of normal, with the Central Valley leading the way at 111%, the Southeast Plains at 90%. So it looks really good, but keep in mind probably over half the precip for most places, in some cases a lot more than that, came in July and September of last year. So that can be a little bit misleading. Ended up being the 47th wettest or the 72nd driest. And with NCDC, they came up with a precip departure actually above normal by 0.68 inches. All right, for 12 years now, we've been showing these maps that you see on here that you're all very used to. We've tracked 56 sites that reported virtually every month, and then used GIS to map this information out. You know, we're very confident, obviously, in the observations and the normals that we used, but we made a lot of assumptions regarding precip at locations where there were no observations. So we have the capability now of doing a lot more enhanced mapping, if you will, from the Advanced Hydrologic Prediction Service, or AHPS. And I'm not going to read all through this. I'm not going to go into this a lot today. When I send out the PDF version of this presentation, you all can take a closer look at it. And let me know if you think this is the way that we should go in the future to present the precipitation analysis for New Mexico. This is combining, this AHPS not only takes ground truth from the gauge observations, but also uses radar-derived precipitation estimates. And a little bit different west of the divide, but again, I'm not going to go into that. So this takes into account not only the lower elevations that we've been using, but also higher elevations, obviously, So it's estimating up on top of mountains, and we'll see some differences here as we go along. Big problem, of course, with this type of map is radar is not going to catch everything. There's big gaps because of mountain ranges, or we just can't see a lot of places to our west, northwest, northeast, and especially down in the southwest. So there's going to be a lot of areas that look like there's been little or no precipitation when in fact there might be more. Here's a side-by-side for the 2013 Precip plot. Left is the legacy version, and on the right, obviously a lot more detailed. Same exact Precip amounts, but they're contoured differently. And this is, they're both in percent of normal. And you can see on the left, there's nothing anywhere near 200+% of normal, but there is on the right. And again, that's because of some of the higher terrain down, to our southwest. So it's going to show, in general, what looks like a higher percentage of normal. But that's because it's taking into account Precip that falls at a higher elevation than what's being used on the map on the left. So here's January statewide precipitation average, 0.03 inches. That's just, horrific. Driest on record. It beat 1928, I believe, that had 0.06 inches. So you can see the same thing on the right. These are observed values. They're showing pretty much the same thing, but obviously they look quite a bit different. But a lot of the state had no precipitation in January. Obviously, the little bit up across the north was the bulk of it, really. So again, the driest on record, only 0.03 inches, and it did beat out 1928. The last 2 months, if we combine December with January, it ends up being the 7th driest on record, a little below half an inch, a little over 1 inch below normal. Pretty significant. And if we look at the winter, with December, January, and then maybe looking at, we'll take a sneak peek here at what February might be. We're looking at one of the drier winters on record, somewhere between the 3rd and 6th driest on average. Thanks to Victor, he came up with some numbers here. We're going to make a pretty good assumption that little or no precip falls the rest of this month. All the models indicating basically dry weather until maybe early March. So if we take into account what precip's fallen so far, we're looking at around 3/4 of an inch for the month of February, which is only about 40% of normal. So if we do that, we're going to end up somewhere around the 5th, maybe, between the 3rd and 6th driest winter seasons on record. So for the water year so far, October through January, 58% of normal. Southern deserts only 34%. Northern mountains, place we need it the most, at 77%. And again, here's a side-by-side comparison of our legacy one versus the AHPS multi-sensor percent of normal precipitation. Ended up for so far for the water year, 22nd driest on record, well over an inch below normal. Looking at the past 12 months, this, of course, is going to take in the September, only the 67th driest on record, actually a little bit above normal. But it's quickly going to see a lot of deterioration now as we go into 24 and 36 months and beyond. And again, my point will be that, short-term drought obviously had improved, but if we look at the last month or so, things are again deteriorating. We'll see that here in a little bit. And long-term drought, we're not seeing much improvement at all. And of course, that means if we continue to have this dry weather, it's not going to take, I'll put it this way, you may not be too surprised to find us back in some pretty dire drought conditions as we go through the spring months, when typically we don't get a lot of precipitation. So 24 months, February 2012 through this past month, 14th driest on record, 5 inches below normal on average across the state. 36 month, 6th driest, virtually 9 inches below normal. 48 months, it's 11th driest, and 60 months, it's the 13th driest. So we're right up there with among the driest 2-3 plus year periods as we've been in for the last several years. So this current long-term drought certainly is still with us, and unfortunately, based on the precipitation this winter, especially since mid-December, when many places have had little or no precipitation, we're again our drought situation is getting worse here in New Mexico. So far this month, here's percent of normal. Most areas are below normal so far, especially over the southwest third of the state and up in the northeast as well. And as Victor pointed out, we're probably looking at something around 40% of normal for the month. So what's all this mean? Well, here's our current drought status, hot off the press today. 96% of the state is back in some form of drought, and now we're up to almost 60% in severe to extreme drought. No exceptional drought yet. Wouldn't be too surprised, though, if we start to see some of that popping back up here in the next few weeks. And I suspect, too, in the next week or two, we're going to see a further deterioration across the state. In fact, just in the last month, as I've mentioned, a lot of the states deteriorated by a category or so, especially west central areas and the central areas of the state up into the northeast and the east central plain. Pretty much the same if we go back 3 months. So there wasn't much change back in November or December. So it's not too much different, but obviously it's gotten worse in a number of places in the past 3 months. All right, let's look at what's ahead and see if we can see any hope for precipitation or other factors that might lead to increased precipitation. The top left graph is the consensus among the actual human population at CPC and IRI. And of course, we're seeing a continuation of the neutral conditions very likely through spring. But then as we get into the summer months, we're just on par with seeing potential for El Nino development just as much as the continuation of neutral conditions. So, and then you can see the latest plume of the model ENSO forecasts on the bottom right. And as we've seen over the past few months, they've been inching up and up, meaning that they're suggesting the possibility of El Nino developing during the summer and, of course, then into the fall. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We're still a couple of months away from when the models traditionally do a lot better job. So if this continues, say, through April, then we may be getting a good handle on the potential for El Nino to develop, which, of course, would be very likely good news for New Mexico. The outlook for March precipitation, we see below normal being favored over the southwest third of the state. Otherwise, pretty much equal chances of above, near, or below normal precipitation. And as has been the case for a few years now, it seems, the model is suggesting above normal temperatures, especially over the southwest half or so of the state. If we look at March through May, as we get into spring, hey, equal chances. I think most of us would take that over a significant below normal forecast. But right now, equal chances above, near, or below normal precipitation. Temperatures, broken record here, leaning toward above normal being the favored situation here for the spring, with above normal temperatures over all the state being the most likely scenario. And finally, here's a seasonal drought outlook. This came out as well. Drought's going to persist or intensify over the state, and the one lone place where it hasn't developed down in the southeast, it probably will. So, yeah, it's not looking too good as we go through the rest of the winter and into the spring. That's all I have. Sorry it took quite a while there, but so who has questions?
Any questions for Chuck?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Chuck, I guess. I know it's looking in the crystal ball, but is this pretty much it for winter, and these winds that are coming in, does this mean we're just heading right into our windy springs?
Oh, pardon? I'm sorry, I missed that.
With all this wind that we've been getting and just warm temperatures, I guess, does this mean that winter's pretty much over for us and that we're just heading into our windy springs now? This is what we have to look forward to. Is this going to be our norm now?
Well, it does seem like January and so far in February are more like, March and April.
Yeah.
With how dry it's been, well above normal temperatures, and then now we've had the wind here recently. Very windy day, obviously, yesterday, and still up there today. I'm hoping that's not the case. There are signs that maybe around March 1st we could see a pattern change and start to get some precipitation back into the state. But of course, that's 10 days away, or 8 or 9 days away. Certainly not written in stone, but I'm hopeful that we can get a little more precipitation before we get out of the rest of the winter.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid it probably won't be enough to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Snowpack's dwindling pretty quick already. So.
Yeah.
So Chuck,
Hey, Chuck.
Go ahead.
Hey, Chuck. Victor, I was going to say, it does look like there, at the present time at least, it does look like there might be a, pretty significant pattern change, like you said, around March 1st, or say the first week of March, which will at least bode better as far as for increased chances for precipitation. What it means as far as temperatures, or whether it be snow, or what kind of precip it will be, who knows. But I think at least the first week of March does look promising, at least for some precipitation to finally end this, this spell of dry months.
And
Really, we've only had 1 week of decent precip here a couple weeks ago, and that's been it for this year anyway. Really, since first or second week in December.
yeah, it was like December 21st or something like that was down here. Oh, and Chuck, and I thought I saw there was a product analysis that you guys did up in your office looking at winds and some correlation with sea surface temperatures or something like that. Do you want to bring that up?
No, because I can't picture what it is. So, was that presented yesterday or 2 days ago at the weekly briefing, or?
No, it was on the graphic cast, I thought.
Okay. I'm not sure I saw that one.
Yeah, let me see if I can click on the Albuquerque page. Yeah, it's on the Albuquerque front page. Spring 2014
Right now?
wind. Yeah, spring 2014 14 wind outlook for central and northern New Mexico. And on the second page, there's a time series of average hourly winds. Okay,
Yeah, I'd have to take the time to read through it.
Okay. But it's
I think Steve probably put this on.
Okay. It looks like something worth looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Would you be able to send that out when you send out your
Sure. Yeah.
your presentation? That'd be awesome to see.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the bottom of that, there's a. It says, as a result, the wind outlook for central and northern New Mexico during the March, April, May 14 is for slightly below average sustained winds. Not that the spring won't be windy at times, but as of right now, the odds favor sustained winds that are slightly below the 2000 and 2013 mean. And it says, keep in mind that due to historic drought and unprecedented dry January, it won't take as much wind as it is typical to create widespread blowing dust. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
that's a key point right there.
Yeah, that's a good.
And then that dust ends up on the mountains and makes the snowpack disappear even faster.
Oh, yep. I've seen that already.
Okay, any more questions for Chuck? All right, let's move on to Raymond.
Ready? Well, storages. I'll start with the storages on the Rio Grande. Potoro was 9,694 acre feet. Heron 85,251. Avado 9,823. Abiquiu 153,203. Coach T 50,776. Elephant Butte 330,767. Bio 40,633. On the Pecos, Santa Rosa storage 97,292. Sumner 42,877. Brantley 34,303. And Avalon 3,502. Like I said in the last column, those are the highest storages we've had in the Pecos in quite a few years. So as far as the storage on the Pecos, we're going in very well. That should be a good, doable year for both districts and hopefully for the Butler Shiner operations. On Rio Grande, so we're going in solo. It's kind of scary. Like we said, we're just watching the snowtown numbers, and the snowpack is just blowing away. The numbers just keep going down, 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 and of course, we're not seeing anything reach any sheds or anything. It's just getting blown away. So that's where we're at. It's just going to be a very tight year, So far, the district has done well, on rotations and whatnot. They're going to start the same way again this year on the Rio Grande. That's all I have, unless anyone has questions. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Raymond. Okay. So Chuck, you didn't get anything from NRCS?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I did look at the snow water equivalent maps this morning. We could also I could probably just download that, send that out to folks. Just looking at, as Raymond mentioned, things just going down, 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 and what looking at not only the northern but the southern. So this, okay, yeah. So like Rio Hondo's 11%, the snow water equivalent percent of median. Rio Chama like 59%, Jemez 27, Sangre de Cristo Mountain Range 57, Pecos 59, and even worse in the Gila, with ranging from 7% in the Mimbres to 16 in both the Gila and San Francisco River percent of median snow water equivalent. So I think that tells a lot. And I was looking at the time series for the Gila, and it looks just like a total tank down, looks like an end of season type of pattern for that area. So okay. Well, let's move on to Anne Marie. You still on?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. And I think Chuck has the stream flow conditions up on the web.
Okay, and if you go to the bottom of it, that shows the table. This is stream flow conditions. It's percent of average stream flow for the water year. So starting in October, and compares our current water year stream flow with the historic average for each one of those gauging stations. Just as a reminder, the gauging stations are chosen to represent relatively unmanaged flow. And so I think the numbers that we have here are maybe a little bit higher than what the Precip would lead us to expect, because it tends to favor upper watershed gauges, since those are more likely to be unmanaged, and also tends to lag a little bit behind the SNOTEL data. So the designation normal for this analysis is 90 to 110% of normal. Below 90 is considered below normal, and above 110% is above normal. And based on that, out of the 20 stations that are reporting, because we are still having issues with the records from Rio Lucero near Arroyo Seco that was damaged with some of the fires, and then some of the flows afterwards have affected that gauge. So they're still working on getting that record. But we have 12 gauges that are reporting, and of those, actually 9 of them are still coming in at or above average. To go through by basins, the San Juan Basin is represented by the Animas River. That's number 19, and that is still at 99% of historical average, which is down considerably from the fall, but is still holding when the entire water year is considered. The Upper Rio Grande tributaries, those are numbers 7 through 12. The range there is 94 to 127% of average. Jemez River, number 13, 68% of average. The Upper Rio Grande main stem, number 9, Rio Grande at Taos Junction Bridge, is at 110%. In the Canadian River Basin, the upland tributaries in Colfax County, that's numbers 1, 2, and 3, are ranging 78 to 138% of average. The downstream tribs in Moore County, numbers 5 and 6, are both at 32% of average, and the main stem, number 4, is about 36% of average. So you can see that as you go downstream, you're losing quite a bit of flow. Upper Pecos in San Miguel County, numbers 14 and 15, Pecos River at Pecos is 94% of average, and Gallinas at Montezuma is at 105% of average. In the lower Pecos, down in Otero and Eddy counties, numbers 16, 17, and 18, these gauges have stream flow conditions ranging from 27 to 59% of average. And then in the Gila Basin, that's sites 20 and 21, Moyarn Creek is at 62% of average, and the Gila River at Red Rock is at 81%. And that's what I have for this month. If there are any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Okay. Moving along to the New Mexico Office of State Engineer. I think, Molly, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
Or you could use that.
So this is our report for today. It's basically the same report we've been given for a while. I got some reservoir storage levels. I got most of the data from the Corps of Engineers, preliminary data, except for Ute. I used USGS, and then the last year and average storage is mostly from the NRCS, again, except for Ute. And this is the legend that we've been using for a while. So here's Navajo, which is up right now pretty close to what it was last year at this time, but below the average. And then Ute, which is above this time last year, but still, again, below the average. Santa Rosa, as was mentioned earlier on the Pecos, they're looking full. Looks a lot fuller than last year. Quite a difference between the little blue bar and the yellow bar there. Again, the same with Sumner and Brantley. So the Pecos is looking a lot rosier than some of the others. Here's Heron, which is well below what it was last year at this time, and well below the average. Say the same about El Vado. Abacu's hanging right in there. It hasn't really changed that much from last year. And then there's Elephant Butte, which is, better than last year, but by no means up to that average level. And the same for Caballo. So just like Raymond said, the Rio Grande's not in the best shape. Does anybody have any questions?
Guess we're all stunned.
The visual, you see it visually, it's kind of bleak looking.
Yeah.
Would you be able to send that also?
Sure.
The visual, yeah, because you just lose your head spinning when you see it like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, hey, this is Victor from Weather Service Southern Region. I noticed where Elephant Butte's actually like about 6 percentage points ahead of where it was last year at this point in time. I think it was a measly 10%. At this time last year, it's like 16% now. Is that just remnants from the heavy rains of September, or?
I think it picked up quite a bit in September, so I think that's the plus there.
Yeah, and Caballo as well.
Right.
Yeah, this is Curtis in the Army Corps. Sorry I chimed in late. Going along with Raymond's analysis for the Pecos, I'm assuming that we're probably not going to get any snowmelt runoff on the upstream of the Pecos this year. Is going to match what we did last year. And so luckily those September rains did come in and filled up all the reservoirs, and also with Elephant Butte, they did get a lot of rain, Precip. in September.
Yeah, the Puerto and the Salado were all running for quite a while, and so there's a lot of flow going through the Santa Casa, San Michelle Beach, which is that all those rains. So,
yeah, imagine if we didn't get those September rains. It would have been very, very sad.
Yes.
Sad year.
there.
Okay, thanks, Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
Is Les or Ryan on the call? Before I move on. No, I guess not. Okay. We'll catch up with them later. Okay, good. We're doing good on time. So, Joy Lynn, do you want to go ahead and talk about disaster declarations?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember the last time I gave you guys a summary, so I kind of just did the ones that I have from October. It was in November, we had the presidential major disaster declaration, and that was for the severe storms, flooding, and mudslides. And you'll see there's the M4152, and then there's an amendment. And that amendment just went ahead and added more counties on that list. And then, as you guys know, a couple years ago, they changed the process for drought, so now they're using the drought monitor. And in January, the drought monitor, it met the criteria for the counties that are listed, so it's called Fast Track. So we had 14 counties designated as primary disaster counties and 12 contiguous counties in New Mexico, and then of course that kicked in the contiguous counties in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Texas that are listed. And then you'll see on February 12th, Lee County was triggered. So now they're considered a primary county for disaster. As of right now that I'm talking to you, the only thing available are the emergency loans. As you've probably heard, the Farm Bill was passed, but we don't have a whole lot of information on it. So I do understand that the livestock programs will trigger, but I don't know what the criteria is for that. Emelita's not here, so I can't give you an update on the grazing losses, but you guys have any questions? Okay. If we do get an update and it does pertain to this group, we'll go ahead and send it out. But like I said, the Farm Bill, all we can say is that we have one, but they haven't sent out anything. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Joy Lynn. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other items? I thought we should, there was some discussion relating to the drought monitor that didn't get into the February 18th map. In light of what we were looking at for the southern southwest, what do you guys think about for next week's is moving the D2 on the southwest, moving it eastward? And I'm just thinking about moving it definitely across Doñana, maybe into Otero County. That's a big area change, because currently that area is in D1. And what do you guys think?
I think it needs to be in D2.
Yeah, I may even we could even connect it from the top of Grant County through Sierra all the way to the top of Otero County. That's a pretty, just looking at the Prism departure maps, where you're basically looking at your map, Chuck, from the MP. Showing there's basically no rain, because we haven't, that whole area I think including even the snow towel, have really seen nothing since that December. A few other areas north of that, but not until you go into Katrin, northern Katrin, Cibola. But so I think we could expand it all the way across.
Mm-hmm.
And we could talk about that.
I think that's the way to go.
So that would be a major change. Specifically, since there's nothing on the QPF, as Victor sent the email out earlier. Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Nope. Okay. Let's talk about our next call. Bring my calendar up. So we have the CPC up. Go ahead. So we have CPC coming out on the 20th again in March. That's the third Thursday. We could do a similar call the Thursday morning at 10 on the March 20. Does that jive with the Weather Service?
It's the Rio Grande Compact Commission meeting. I wouldn't be able to make it that day.
How about
Friday would actually be better, the 21st.
21st? How about that? Can you make it, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Let's do March 21st, 10 a.m. MST.
At 10, you said?
10 a.m., yes.
Great.
10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay.
March 21st.
21st. March 2-1.
Right around the first day of spring.
First day of spring. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Hey, Dave.